Welcome back. I'm Luke Lloyd, filling in for Scott, who's going to be back on Monday. Every great empire believes it's different. Hit right up to the moment it's not. The Romans thought their roads and legions would last forever. The British believed their navy made them untouchable. The Dutch had trade, money, and global reach, all powerful, all confident, and all eventually collapsed. Not because of one invasion, but because they started breaking from the inside. That's why Ray Dalio's warning landed so hard this week. He called the United States a tinderbox, not because we're weak, but because we're divided, indebted, and angry at each other while pretending the system can run on autopilot. What's sobering is the timing. America's approaching its 250-year mark, a point in history when many great nations start to fray. Institutions strain, trust erodes, and people stop believing the rules apply evenly. Empires rarely fall with a bang, they smolder first. So the question today isn't whether America's finished, it's whether we recognize the warning signs and what happens if we don't. My next guest is sure to have comments on this. Welcome to the show, Dr. Carol Swain. Thanks for being here, Carol.
It's my pleasure.
So I love history. When I'm talking about Ray Dalio, I've read his books, Principles of a Changing World Order. We can talk about, again, the Roman Dutch Empire, how they all end. There seems to be a lot of divisive nature here in America, especially the past few weeks seems to be heating up again. Again, are we just a tinderbox light match away from lighting up?
I would say that the politics that's coming from Congress and from the divisions between the Democrats and Republicans are leading us on a path that's very suicidal for a nation, because it seems that partisan interests are more important than the nation as a whole. And so there is a tinderbox, and we see what's happening in Minnesota, but we also see the so-called leaders fanning the flames of unrest, and it's part of a political opportunist type move that is destructive for the entire nation.
Isn't it destructive for the economy, though, as well? I mean, it's initially not like what we're seeing. I talk about it all the time is this wealth divide. And we're talking about how the rich are getting richer and how we're printing all this money to try to Band-Aid things up. And I mean, that seems like what we're doing from a politics basis as well, is we're trying to fix issues with bigger issues. There's really not a come together moment for the economy, not a come together moment for politics. And politicians are getting voted in because they're trying to preach, things that just get them in the office. I mean, how do we change this? How do we, actually come together? Is there a pathway for this?
I believe we need a constitutional amendment for term limits, because once they're in office now, whether they're Democrat or Republican, there are a few ways that we can hold them accountable. And when I look at the obstructionists that are preventing right now the president's agenda from going forward, I would say that it is clear that the filibuster, it needs to go. It was not a part of the original Constitution, and it's not being used in a constructive way. In fact, right now, it is blocking the president's agenda. I also believe that the people that are dividing us, they do not have the best interests of our nation as a whole. And so they need to go. But America is teetering on the edge of a precipice. And when it falls, because I believe that if we continue in this direction, we will fall, it will be because of our own leaders. They sold us out. Their actions were suicidal. Average people can see this, but not those that are holding the levers of power.
It seems like to me that we are exploding again from the inside. I'm pretty sure our founding fathers of America says something along the lines of that America is not going to end from anyone outside. It's going to end from the inside. And that's kind of where, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I'm just studying history to apply history to kind of what I'm seeing out there. But I grew up in an area with my grandparents, my parents. We were very patriotic. There was this sense of we're all friends. We're all in this together. And one of of the things you mentioned there is that these politicians aren't incentivized to keep America in their best interest. They're incentivized to keep their own in their best interest. And one of my key philosophies to all of this is we need the right people in office. But the right people aren't running because they don't want to get in the political game because they're scared. They're scared that they're going to, all their potential skeletons in the closet, even though it might be so minimal, are going to be revealed because this is just not a fun game. How do we get more people involved? The average American that can make a difference, or the people that actually should be running this country?
You need to reform the system. And you mentioned the economy. We have a system which taking place now is everyone's focus is on the midterms. And let's talk Democrats versus Republicans. Democrats have an incentive for the economy to get worse because they know that if the economy collapses, the people are more likely to punish the party that's in power. And so that's what motivates them. And what's lost is America as a whole and the divisiveness when it comes to race, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to crime. I mean, there are common sense solutions to all of these issues, and they're not being utilized because there's no partisan advantage. And so with the Republicans, they are not perfect, but closest to the people when it comes to, God, country, family. The majority of them are people that I believe truly care. But on the Democrat side, there may be people that care, but they're so intimidated by the bullies in their party that they're not willing to be like Senator Fetterman and, and stick their neck out with some courage. And so we need courage in a lot of different directions.
Yep. That's exactly right. I mean, my way of thinking is it might take something ridiculous, horrible to happen to get us reset to where we need to be. Hopefully, it does not get to that point. Carol, thanks for being here today. I'm sure we could talk for hours on this.
Thank you.
Time now to dial up the